first a three-day summit on tackling the world's refugee crisis got underway Monday in Geneva, Switzerland. Thousands of delegates, including about 100 government leaders, are attending the United Nations Global Refugee Forum. They are discussing how to help the tens of millions of people who have been forced to flee their homes, many through conflict. Henry Ridgewell reports.
Europe's refugee crisis is no longer in the headlines, but thousands of migrants continue to arrive on its shores, seeking a better life. For many, this is the brutal reality. On the edge of the EU, squalid makeshift camps like this one in Bosnia are growing in number. The broken dreams of a new life in the West as Europe strengthens its borders.
All people, not animal. Okay. You see, you world see. All people very cool weather, no sleeping, no food, big problem.
The United Nations estimates that globally 70.8 million people have been forcibly displaced from their homes, an unprecedented number of refugees. The UN says most countries, especially richer nations, are not doing enough to help. The Global Refugee Forum in Geneva is aimed at tackling the disparity.
The central idea is to share the burden and the responsibilities of this vast and unprecedented number of people, this movement of people globally.
There have been similar calls in the past. Tragedies like the drowning of 3-year-old Syrian refugee Alan Kurdi in 2015 have triggered global demands for action with little result. Turkey hosts over 3.5 million refugees, most escaping the war in Syria. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is among the delegates in Geneva. Turkey has repeatedly criticised Europe's migrant policies. Under a 2016 agreement, Ankara began to stop migrants crossing into Greece in return for $6.7 billion in aid. Tens of thousands of migrants remain stuck in camps on the Greek islands. The refugee crisis stretches far beyond Europe. 750,000 Rohingya refugees live in camps in Bangladesh, having escaped a military offensive in Myanmar. Sub-Saharan Africa hosts more than a quarter of the world's refugee population. Conflicts in the Central African Republic, Nigeria, South Sudan, Burundi and Yemen have contributed to the crisis, with 18 million people forced from their homes. And in Venezuela, the political crisis has morphed into a humanitarian catastrophe, with 4 million people fleeing the country. The UNHCR, the United Nations Refugee Agency, says it has a funding shortfall of $3.5 billion, or 43% of its budget. It hopes the Geneva summit will prove a watershed.
We have very optimistic indications at the moment that we'll get significant financial commitments, both by governments and through the banking lending facilities. But we'll also get engagement with civil society and the business community.
That appears optimistic, given the scale of the crisis and the myriad causes that are driving so many people from their homes. Henry Ridgewell for VOA News, London.